Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum. I am your host Faisal and you are watching Foresight. Viewers, Pakistan is facing the menace of terrorism since decades. And recently the intensity of this scourge becomes intense. And that is because the terrorist organizations, particularly the Fitna al-Kharij, the Tehreek-e-Taliban, Baloch Liberation Front, Baloch Liberation Army, Baloch Republican Army and Majid Brigade, and along with that, their political voices like Baloch Yakjati movement or Pashtun Taffuz movement. These are all aligned at the same page. And the page is none other than India. As India is a state sponsoring terrorism and using this terrorism as a tool of its foreign policy to destabilize Pakistan, achieve its nefarious designs, and unfortunately, very unfortunately, using the Afghan and Iranian soil to launch attacks against Pakistan. We will try to explore the complex issues surrounding terrorism, the regional stability and international relations, particularly the recent engagement between Pakistan and United States at the different levels. We will also analyze the different statements of the terrorist entities, the role of foreign intelligence agencies, and also the impact of digital radicalization and cyber terrorism. We will also examine the evolving tactics of the terrorist entities and their alignment with the Indian nefarious designs and the regional interests. Implications of the US-China rivalry on Pakistan's national security and regional stability. The need for engagement, the Pakistan's engagement with Afghanistan and Iran, and also the robust digital and cyber infrastructure, including the joint intelligence to effectively counter terrorism. To talk on this very important subject of Pakistan's national security and national interests, we have in our studios Dr. Sajid Iqbal Khattak. He is the international relations expert and assistant professor, Department of International Relations at the National University of Modern Languages, Islamabad. Most welcome to you, Doctor. Thank you very much for your presence. And we have with us Mrs. Dr. Muhammad Saeed. He is the emerging technology expert. Thank you very much, Doctor, for your presence here. And online joining us, Dr. Waseem Ishaque. He is the international affairs analyst. Most welcome to you. Thank you very much, Dr. Waseem, for being with us. My first question to you, Dr. Sajid, that you must have noticed a recent press statement by Fitna al-Kharij, Tehreek-e-Taliban, in which they actually drifted away from their religious goals and now propagating human rights, international law and red lines. And surprisingly, this statement is from an entity that is internationally recognized terrorist organization. And they are claiming it because, and they are shifting their position might be because of the so-called human rights organization, what they portray actually at the face, the Baloch Yakjati Committee, and along with that, the Pashtun Taffuz movement and all others. Even the Baloch terrorist organizations, they are portraying themselves, they are fighting some rights, but unfortunately they are against doing it, everything against the human life. So it seems that terrorist entities and their political voices are at the same page, and they are towing the Indian agenda, the larger Indian agenda of destabilizing Pakistan, disrupting peace and development. How do you see this aspect?
Thank you, Faisal, for inviting me in your show. It is indeed a very difficult time for Pakistan because at the same time different sub-national identities and ethno-national groups are active against Pakistan's stability. Actually, these groups had already existed, but you know why at this particular time they are active and they are you can say re-emerging, resurging, and they are increasing the intensity of their actions against Pakistan. There is a reason for that as per my understanding. You one is a local, you can say, an internal reason for their reactivation, and one is the international one. At local level, we all see a commonality, you can say, in these groups, that is ethno-nationalism or sub-nationalism. Be that the non-state actors in Balochistan or the non-state actors in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, or even some non-state actors in Punjab or Sindh, because we have also seen that some groups are active in Sindh as well. There is a commonality of sub-nationalism which somehow unites them, because they are now focusing on their end goals rather than the means to achieve their end goals. Internationally, you have rightly mentioned that India had long been waiting for this opportunity so that they can achieve their strategic objectives in Pakistan. And from day one, we have seen at the inception of Pakistan in 1947, we have seen that India was propagating against Pakistan, that Pakistan will not survive, Pakistan will not, you can say, be a stable country. And those people who were migrating to Pakistan, they were even
But
discouraged.
the founding father, Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad
Exactly.
Jinnah, clearly said that there is no power on earth who can undo Pakistan.
And
this
Pakistan
is very clear.
has somehow, you can say, survived 75
Definitely.
years more than. So I believe that there is some regional and extra-regional politics involved, which is the reason of why these groups have reactivated. We have seen that there is a new great game is emerging in the Central Asia and the South Asian region. That is, the United States is clearly in the process or in the pursuit of countering China's rise. And Pakistan is a country which is a very close ally, a partner of China in their Belt and Road Initiative. So definitely there are forces, there are groups which are, and India, by the way, is a partner of the United States of America. It is part of many groups which is basically working against China's rise.
Definitely.
So I believe that these groups are somehow getting support from the regional and extra-regional actors, and that is the reason why they all are united against Pakistan, and they are not condemning the international actors, and they are even, as you rightly said, that they are drifting from their religiosity or their ideology, and they are now talking about human rights.
Now they are shifting their position, and why they are shifting their position, that is the very important question.
And one of the reasons is that due to globalization, due to this, you can say, digital age, they have also learned some of the terminologies which they can use to exploit the international system, I believe.
Your point well taken, Dr. Sajid. Dr. Saeed, foreign funded and the facilitated banned outfits using social media and encrypted platforms to gather funding, planning and coordinating attacks, spreading propaganda and recruiting Pakistani youth without being immediately intercepted. What concrete steps are urgently required to dismantle terrorist digital infrastructure?
Faisal, this is very interesting and important question as well. Since US withdrawal from Afghanistan, we can observe that there is rise in terrorism. Terrorist incidents are increasing, and there is growing concern in Pakistan regarding terrorism. And the state institutions, they are working for it. For sure, let me express, Pakistani armed forces and society, they remain very resilient, and they face the menace of terrorism very efficiently, and we have successes in this regard. Nevertheless, now terrorism, it is taking multiple shapes. I mean to say the types of terrorism are multi-pronged. And these multiple shapes, if we look into it, we come to understanding that there is no agreed definition of this cyber terrorism or cyber attacks. If you look into BLA, TTP, these organizations are using diversified strategies to achieve their political objectives. So the definition of cyber terrorism and cyber attack even get more complex. So much intricacies are involved in it. Broadly speaking, this cyber terrorism is basically use of internet via gadgets and tools, laptops, mobiles, and to disrupt and damage the critical infrastructure. What these organizations are doing right now, they are exploiting the situation. They are achieving, they are securing technological advancement, and at the same time they are conducting terrorist attacks. For the audience, I would like to mention there were thousands of cyber attacks on Pakistan, on Pakistani leaders, on Pakistani state apparatus, on Pakistani society involving individual, businesses and forces.
And we have witnessed and lots of documentary evidences are there when even the terrorists use the gaming platforms to plan and execute their attacks, particularly on diplomats in Sawat. We have already witnessed that. So your point well taken.
So the steps, Faisal Saab, the steps are very much important. The most important thing, we need to counter the technology with technology. We need to use the technology, the emerging technologies, artificial intelligence, quantum computing, machine learning, for what? To monitor the information on the social media networks.
I have a comprehensive question on that, and I'll seek a response from you. Your point well taken. Dr. Waseem, the US, under its containment of China policy, wants its presence in Afghanistan, even eyeing on mineral wealth as well in Afghanistan and in the region as well. India as the US ally, terrorist entities supporting by India have refuge at the Afghan soil and attacking Pakistan are also aligning themselves to gain US support. Do you not think that it means that this alliance is actually building up against Pakistan and for the containment of China? And it's evident after the Jafar Express and other terrorist attacks which were unfortunately celebrated in India.
Faisal, thank you very much for the invitation. Before going to directly answering this question, I just want to paint a strategic picture, a special geostrategic and geopolitical environment surrounding Pakistan. The kind of US policy and US administration we are facing today is actually working on two accounts. One, the great power competition, and second, the economic competition. So on both these accounts, competition with Russia and China is actually the paramount importance. So for Pakistan, the soil of Afghanistan and stability of Afghanistan is actually our vital lifeline. And if you go back to Doha process, one of the commitment which was done by Taliban at that time was that Afghan soil will never be used for any terrorist activity against any regional neighboring country. But unfortunately, they could not abide by that commitment. Secondly, despite instability and despite non-recognition of interim Afghan government by the United States and any other country, the China and Russia together at the bilateral level and also at the multilateral forums tried to engage with Afghan government, and the overriding factor was the stability in Afghanistan. China went even a step further by making the economic leverages for making investments in Afghanistan's infrastructure development, in soft power, and also in the mine and mineral sector. So in that way, there is a de facto recognition which has been given to the interim Afghan government by both Russia and China together. But on account of its international obligations, they have unfortunately not been able to abide by the commitments which they made, and despite several requests by both Russia and China together. Pakistan is facing the brunt of instability in Afghanistan by way of its terrorist safe havens, which are active both in KPK province as well as in Balochistan. The second factor is the repatriation of Afghan refugees. This is a very, very legitimate right of our sovereign country, Pakistan, that all those who are illegally residing here should go back to their respective country. And the notional stability which has been created by the interim Afghan government of having ruled for over 2 years now, that is, I think, the right time for them to go back to their country, and that has also been wrongly exploited by the interim Afghan government. And then third factor is
Dr. Waseem, you are absolutely right on that account, but there is another fact which is largely evident, that Indian state-sponsored facilitation by engaging Afghan Taliban, and not only in Dubai but also in Kabul, their diplomatic mission there in Mumbai, that is the first ever in any country, through RAW, the Research and Analysis Wing of India, the intelligence agency, their agents at Chabahar and in Sistan, Balochistan and Afghan soil, intensified the terrorism inside Pakistan, compelling Afghan Taliban to use Chabahar port to fail Karachi and the Gwadar port and the CPAC as well, while Pakistan's immediate neighbors, Afghanistan and Iran, are actually not taking seriously what the apprehensions Pakistan has, and Pakistan time and again requested both the countries to take stern action against all those entities took refuge at their soil particularly. So why is such attitude by our immediate neighbors who have a very cordial relation with Pakistan and the history of bilateral relations in between?
As I said earlier also, and let me reiterate again, that in international relations, it is the national interest which is supreme, and the national interest keep changing with a change in the global and regional environment. So for India, Taliban was something which they never liked even to talk about them. But today, the Indian national interest aligned for creating uncertainty and instability inside Pakistan through using those safe havens. So there has been an alliance partnership, although not written anywhere, but we can see from the actions of last 2 years that India started talking to Afghan Taliban, and they were very eager to embrace the Indian position and Indian engagement. Similarly, the United States also changed its policy, and they have engaged with Afghan Taliban. So from my perspective, when these two countries have engaged Afghan Taliban, I think it is about time we also need to engage, and using the bilateral channel and also the multilateral channel and the good offices of great powers like Russia and China. Because now engaging with the Afghan government at these levels and also denying safe havens by hard power and kinetic operations inside both KPK and Balochistan or anywhere in the country if required, so that the terrorists, any space inside the country is denied to those potential terrorists or the terrorist acts. And secondly, the nexus between those terrorist groups and India and Afghanistan can be broken. We have conveyed these points at several occasions and several forums to
Definitely,
the
we are going to discuss that in detail as well. Dr. Waseem, your point well taken. Dr. Saeed, terrorist entities like Fitna Tehreek-e-Taliban is primarily targeting the religious institutions, especially the seminaries for recruitment of the terrorists. But BLA, BRA and Majid Brigade and all others manipulating online content and fake news to incite unrest, recruit operatives and sow the distrust against the state institutions. How it could be halted, to what extent the religious and contemporary educational institutions you belongs to, an educational institution as well, youth platforms and others can play in stopping digital radicalization and terrorism across the country. How we can do it?
Faisal, as I mentioned earlier, that cyber terrorism or the evolving shape of terrorism, it is multifaceted, it is multidimensional. So in order to counter it, we need to come up with smart strategy. I mean to say, along with kinetic operations, we need to go towards non-kinetic operations. And if I say that there should be 5 levels of analysis, our strategy should include 5 levels. I mean to say, from individual to societal, from societal to state, and from state to regional, and then international. Because the means of terrorism which we are observing here, it is not about one specific cause. It is multifaceted, it is multi-pronged. So our strategy should be comprehensive, it should be holistic. And what is required to be done? I think that, for instance, we need to have campaigns, awareness campaigns. We need to introduce curriculum which should be focused on de-radicalization, because this extremism or this extremism, be that political extremism, be that religious extremism, what they do, they radicalize youths. And if you look into the statistics with respect to population, 60% of the population of Pakistan, they are youth. For sure, we are growing economically with the best of time, but unemployment is there. To a certain extent, we have managed this inflation, but at the same time, the circulation of, with respect to circulation of capital, we need to do more, so that we include these youth into this economy. Once we will have this stable economy, once we will give them the opportunity, be that...
And we can use the cyber and the digital platforms for that, to engage youth, because that is the source of economy as well, that is the source of jobs as well. We have the tool available, the same tool.
Strongly agreed. What we need to do then? We need to have comprehensive, holistic policy. And with respect to kinetic operations, we need to increase our deterrence capabilities. We need to increase our defensive capabilities. See, we need to deal this smartly. We need to deal this holistically. We need to have a comprehensive framework to mitigate the threats of this terrorism, be that in any shape, be that cyber terrorism, be that any other sort of technology.
Your point well taken, Dr. Saeed. Dr. Sajid, after the brief visit of Pakistan's special envoy, Ambassador Mohammad Sadiq Khan, Afghan Taliban has shown some signs of cooperation, which were earlier, it was like a very cold response by Kabul. So Kabul also formed a committee to deal with the issues related to Pakistan, what Pakistan is raising time and again. And also the border meeting is also planned. Another bilateral visit is also in pipeline, most probably mid of this month. Do you see any hope that Kabul will change its attitude and really cooperate with Pakistan? Because ultimately, their cooperation is going to be a win-win situation for both the countries.
This is indeed a positive development, because at the end of every conflict, every dispute, diplomacy plays its role, because without diplomacy we cannot resolve issues. But I am not that much optimistic about Taliban's responses towards Pakistan's demands. One of the reasons is that Afghan Taliban share ideological affinity with Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan and other jihadist groups in Pakistan, because originally they all share the same ideological foundation, which is the, you can say, their interpretation of Sharia in the political system. So I think there are divisions within Afghan Taliban as well. Some are very hardliners who are basically even challenging the decisions of Afghan interim government as well when it comes to diplomacy or when it comes to international cooperation.
Particularly the Kandhari group.
Exactly. So I think that if Afghan Taliban somehow do accept Pakistan's demands and they somehow take actions against the safe sanctuaries of TTP in Afghanistan, they will face divisions within. And another reason is that since we already agreed to this argument that regional and extra-regional actors are involved in supporting these non-state actors. So if regional and extra-regional actors are involved, then it is not totally in control of the Afghan Taliban. Even if the Afghan government agrees to it, then you can say we have seen that groups in Balochistan and groups in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa are directly influenced by India and other extra-regional countries. So things are very oblique as per my understanding.
Most of the reports suggest that when Afghan Taliban are reluctant to act against all those terrorist entities who have took refuge at the Afghan soil, including Fitna al-Kharij, TTP, Pakistan has to act and wipe out wherever the terrorists took cover at the Afghan soil and frequently launching attack against Pakistan. This is what was the message also, that if Afghan Taliban are not going to engage or having cooperation with Pakistan, that was loud and clear given to Kabul as well. How do you see that?
This message is, you can say, a reference to Sadiq Khan. Only he can confirm if he has actually delivered this message or not. But I would not acknowledge these kind of messages, because there is already, because you know, it is not the age of hard power. We have to take into account the soft power as well. There is a prevailing, you can say, notion within Afghans, particularly the educated Afghans, that Pakistan has always used
This is the soft power, Doctor. That's why Mohammad Sadiq was in Kabul, and that's why Pakistan has opened the Torkham corridor, and that's why Pakistan is eager to resolve all those Pak-Afghan border disputes, and that's why the bilateral visit is taking place. So these are the areas where Pakistan is actually stressing hard that we have to engage each other and we have to resolve these issues with negotiation.
I already said that this is a positive development, that our ambassador or envoy is engaging with the Afghan interim government. But what I'm saying is that the for deterrence purposes it is good, but actually resorting to the use of force in order to make Afghan government comply with Pakistan demands can lead to an asymmetrical warfare between Afghan Taliban and Pakistan cannot afford another front on the western border, as we already have, historically
definitely.
long conflict on the eastern border. And Afghan Taliban, have a long history of and they have a long experience of asymmetrical warfare. We cannot afford that. What I was referring to is that, we also have to win the hearts and minds of the Afghans. There is a very negative connotation or construction in their minds about Pakistan. They claim that Pakistan is using Afghanistan soil as a strategic depth, and Pakistan always pressurizes us rather than talking to us in order to resolve the bilateral dispute, which is not the case. I'm not endorsing their position, but what I'm trying to say is that Pakistan should be very calculated in using statements or using some terminologies with respect to Afghan Taliban, because at the end of the day, Afghan Taliban, we share very cordial relations with the Afghan Taliban as well, because one of the reasons why Afghan Taliban and our government are facing disagreement is that in their earlier tenure from 1996 till 2001, they were totally dependent on Pakistan.
At this point in time, I think so that Pakistan has done a lot for Afghanistan. Now Afghanistan also must have to think about that there are certain requirements of Pakistan as well, and there are Pakistan is going through a mess of terrorism, this menace of terrorism from the last 2 decades and more than 2 decades. And Afghanistan should understand that only cooperation will pave the way for both of the countries, not the confrontation. And what they have opted is the confrontation, unfortunately. Dr. Saeed, we had noticed over the years that foreign hostile agencies, especially the Indian RAW, and lots of other hostile elements abroad playing in amplifying digital terrorism and psychological warfare within Pakistan's cyberspace. Whether Pakistan's institutional mechanisms, the cybersecurity policies and digital counter-terrorism laws are robust enough to deal with the tech survey of terrorist groups operating both within and beyond borders?
This is a very interesting question, Faisal. If you look into the state apparatus with respect to institution or the technology, we come to understanding that still challenges are there. Some very serious challenges are there with respect to our capability. Nevertheless, the good thing is that recently, if you look into 2021 legislation, we have cyber policy, and there are some other institutions. We have cyber division and then national cyber security, institution. What they are looking for all those dimensions which can hamper upon Pakistan's national security. So what I think that we need to invest requisite resources in order to enhance our capability. For what purpose? So that we can monitor the information, the flow of information, be that social media, be that other forums. They are, they are at a high level. So what we are required to do then, we need to monitor the information which is there. We need to look into the radicalization patterns, extremism patterns. We can use machine learning based systems in order to monitor those informations so that we can see the change in patterns. And at the same time, what we are required to do, these institutions should have cyber warriors, cyber engineers, information analysts, because we cannot do it without having requisite knowledge, expertise and skills. We need to have personnels, like we need to have engineers, we need to have experts to monitor all these things. So yeah, Pakistan, with the passage of time, as the time is moving on, we are focusing on technology, we are developing institutions, but at the same time, what we are required to do, we need to modernize technology. We need to modernize our institution so that we can mitigate the upcoming threats.
Your point well taken. Dr. Waseem, Pakistan intends to, as you were rightly pointing out about the repatriation of the illegal foreigners, including illegal Afghans who are residing in Pakistan as aliens, those who have Afghan citizenship card or illegally residing in Pakistan, or but Afghan interim authority, including the acting refugee interim minister, that's Maulvi Kabir, appealed that don't expel Afghan citizens, but send only those who are willing and intend to repatriate. And we have already seen that the process is going on, and that was the last date was 31st of March 2025, and soon after the repatriation of most of the Afghans started, and that process is going on. How much critical it is to expel all those illegal foreigners from Pakistan, particularly the Afghan citizens who are unfortunately involved in lots of terrorist activities as well?
Faisal, I would like to answer this question on two accounts. One, on account of making Pakistan as a hard state. And second, the entire world has acknowledged that since last 5 decades, I think probably after Second World War, Pakistan is the only country with meager resources which has hosted good about 5 decades, more than 4 million Afghan refugees from different figures ranging from 1979 until today. And as a result, and despite that, our hospitality should have been acknowledged by the interim Afghan government or the previous Afghan governments. Unfortunately, they have one that they did not acknowledge, and second, they are not ready even to cooperate on this account. While as an initial phase, Pakistan started repatriating those who have been living over here illegally. I think this is the requirement of time, and it is about time. We have taken a very correct decision, and I think this must be pursued resolutely. Whether Afghan government likes it or not, whether willing repatriation happens or not, it is about time we have to repatriate first as a phase one all the illegal Afghan refugees, and phase two all other Afghan refugees as well, because one, that economically we can't sustain, and second, this has been used as probably a refuge by the terrorist organizations as well, and the events of last about 2 to 3 years provide ample evidence of this.
Definitely,
But
you are absolutely
unfortunately,
right, Dr. Waseem, absolutely right. Dr. Sajid, what's the significance of the recent telephonic conversation between Pakistan and the US leadership at the foreign minister level? Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Ishaque and the US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has the telephone conversation, and in that they have committed to strengthen the bilateral relations, including the counter-terrorism cooperation, number one. And secondly, US shown also interest to enhance this counter-terrorism operation when it comes to Afghanistan, and also agreed to resolve the issue of US military equipment left behind in Afghanistan. Just recently, the US State Department senior official, Bureau of South and the Central Asian Affairs, Eric Meyer, has a meeting with the Interior Minister Mohsen Naqvi as well, and he assured him about the counter-terrorism cooperation, anti-smuggling and anti-narcotics, and joint counter-terrorism dialogue as well, to renegotiate or to have reinstate even the counter-terrorism dialogue between Pakistan and United States. How much important it is?
It is always important whenever diplomatic engagements and the diplomacy plays. It is always important, and it is always fruitful. But I believe that we are looking into this, Afghanistan problem or Pakistan-US relations in the present context without ignoring the context of it. I think we are not that much actively pursuing our case against the US, because before 2001, our ex-FATA was totally at peace, and the people living over there were very patriot. They were very, you can say, there was Pakistaniyat inside them. What happened after 2001? I think Pakistan should make the United States of America accountable for what they have done for the past 20 years in Afghanistan. They have started a useless war and then fought there for 20 years and ended it without any tangible results, without achieving anything.
But also now this war is inside our home,
exactly.
And we are fighting and we are sacrificing on at every hour really. Our soldiers, our officers, our civilians, our police, law enforcement agencies, they are laying down their lives. And the same US has the recent report, which I quote here, that they term TTP as the bilateral threat. It's evident in the recent annual threat assessment report by 18 US intelligence agencies termed Al-Qaeda linked TTP as a grave threat to the United States as well. This is one. Then US is also interested in investments in Balochistan as well, particularly related to the minerals. They are also interested to be in Afghanistan to invest there as well. So how do you see overall picture that whether it is going to be a kind of a situation where we can mend Kabul as well to have negotiations, be at the negotiating table and discuss about the peace and stability in the region, particularly to have economic stability and development?
I think there are many converging points of cooperation among Afghanistan, the United States of America, Pakistan, and even China. Unfortunately, the United States of America's foreign policy is always of, you can say, competition rather than cooperation. There is, a high level of bilateral trade between the US and China. So if, you can say they simply change their approach from competition to cooperation, then there is a great potential not only between the US and China, but Afghanistan and Pakistan as well. And Pakistan will be a beneficiary of the cooperation between the United States of America and China. But unfortunately, I don't see that happening, because at the end of the day, it is very clear that China is a rising power, and the United States of America is in a Thucydides trap. It is basically facing a security dilemma, and it is going to counter China at any cost. And unfortunately, being at the neighborhood of China, we have to face the consequences of this competition, and we are already facing these consequences, because as
Definitely,
I already
definitely. Your point well taken, Dr. Saeed. As Dr. Sajid has rightly pointed out about this whole competition and all that, and in that particular framework, we have to be very strategically very active. We have to be on internet domain, in cyber domain, in digital domain, because ultimately these repercussions we are facing at the digital domain as well. So when there is an ongoing policy measures regarding the National Crypto Council and the regulations, whether we are also focusing on the financial support is being funneled through the cryptocurrency and the dark web channels to terrorist groups operating at the different locations, and most of the times they are using satellite communications for that purpose, because it is more safer than the cable or the fiber optic networks. So how do you see this important scenario, whether we have to take these things in account?
Okay, Faisal, firstly, keeping in view the anarchic structure, keeping in view the vibrant systemic competition between the United States of America and China, what should be the strategy for Pakistan? For me, it should be hedging. We need to manage the relations with both countries, with both great powers, in order to secure our national interest. As Dr. Waseem mentioned, national interest is the guiding star. So we need to manage the relations by focusing on our national interest, and the strategy for me, that is hedging. Now coming to Pakistan Crypto Council. See, since this scientific revolution and industrial revolution, we know that technology is the variable. Technology has influenced all sectors of life, be that education, be that health, be that warfare. And now what we are discussing right now, this digital infrastructure which is being used by different non-state actors, terrorist outfits, in order to achieve their political objective. What this is about the challenges in new shape. And this Pakistan Crypto Council initiative, I would like to appreciate the government. I would like to appreciate the state of Pakistan for launching this project. What this project is about, it is about to integrate and regulate the digital assets. As I mentioned earlier, since this industrial revolution, we see the phenomenon of globalization. Digitalization is there. So we need to manage these financial networks, because terrorist organizations are using different means, different tactics, different tools.
So Dr. Saeed, do you not think that a comprehensive, robust, centralized and an AI-driven national mechanism is inevitable to track and curb the extremist and terrorist narratives, suspicious financial transactions, the terror coordination and recruitment online in real times particularly, while there must have to be the most effective cyber surveillance, as you were rightly pointing out about that, counter-terrorism units and round-the-clock digital cyber policing required to identify and shut down the terror-linked digital networks overall.
This artificial intelligence is a reality now. This is going to transform the world. The world will witness, a lot of things which will be amazing, which will be like magic for the people and for the states also. So we need to focus on this artificial intelligence. We are in stable stage now. I mean to say there are 3 stages, weak stage, stable stage of AI, and then super AI. I think, as per my understanding, we are in the stable age stage, but we are fastly moving towards super AI stage, where the machines will be deciding, machines will be thinking, they will be doing whatever they want to do it.
That's why you are time and again talking about the machine learning platform.
Yes, that's great. Real-time monitoring, automated incident response, these are few of the steps which are required to mitigate the threats of terrorism.
Your point well taken, your point well taken. Dr. Waseem, one last question that is related to empowering a national counter-terrorism authority. How the recent decision to establish the National Intelligence Fusion and Threat Assessment Center, NIFTAC, at the national level under NACTA, also the same sub-organs there at the provincial level in the kind of PIFACTs or something like that. But the same decisions were already taken earlier, like Joint Intelligence Directorate approval in 2016, and then we have seen a game changer or some kind of that, the internal security policy that was also approved in 2018, but unfortunately not implemented. So how do you see this new initiative? How much it is critical, particularly when it comes to the challenges right now we have, because our two of the provinces, innocent people, they are the victims of terrorism right now?
Just go back to the time period of 2013 onwards, when we were actually facing a huge brunt of terrorism. We adopted a very successful model, and NACTA was very effective, and we have seen the very effective model of CTDs, which is still very effective. But somehow, after the successful Zarb-e-Azb, and as the terrorism menace was defeated thoroughly and squarely, probably then we went into some hibernation period. There's a time to revive all those state institutions, and all those decisions which you just highlighted are the step in the right direction. So therefore, it is the need of the hour. We must reactivate and operationalize NACTA and all the intelligence organizations and all the counter-terrorism organizations. And that's way by adopting consensus-driven National Action Plan 2, by whole of government approach and also whole of the people approach. So that way, whole of the nation, when it supports the government policies, and government and the nation together supports the armed forces and law enforcing agencies, and I'm sure we can defeat the menace of terrorism as we have done successfully in the past. So we need to energize.
So Dr. Waseem, one important aspect is again, but when the terrorists are effectively using Afghan soil and even the Iranian soil, and unfortunately these terrorists are sponsored, facilitated, abetted, trained, and all other aspects through the Indian state-sponsored terrorism. So how do you see this important aspect, whether we have to engage Afghanistan, Iran as well, and how we have to propagate this Indian state-sponsored regional terrorism, although United States, Canada, Britain and most of the countries are also facing the Indian global terrorism as well. So do you not think that we have the space available internationally and we have to exploit it, and diplomatically we have to search?
I think we have to adopt multi-level and multi-tiered approach, both at national level and international level. And as I've been saying in this program earlier also, we need to get out of the prisoner's dilemma. We must engage Afghanistan, Iran, and there's no harm in directly engaging India even at the bilateral level to begin with. And we may also use the multilateral forums, and we should also get engaged with the great powers, United States, China, Russia, together at the bilateral level and at the multilateral levels, because we cannot defeat the menace of terrorism, which has its regional nexus, it has extra regional nexus. So we need to have the international cooperation to defeat this menace of terrorism. And I think it's about time, and we have realized a lot of things are happening and a lot of things would be happening in times to come. At the national level, there is no other alternate option other than using hard power by completely denying space to the terrorists who at any occasion they want to regroup and create problems for us. At the international level, international cooperation is required to deny safe havens inside Afghanistan.
Thank you very much for your candid views as well. And thank you very much, Dr. Sajid, for being with us here in the studios. Thank you very much, Dr. Saeed, for your candid views. Viewers, as you have listened to our panelists, there is a great power competition, the economic competition, and a great game going on in the region. And we have to be very cautious on that. We have to take each and every step, whether it's at the national level, at the strategic level, at the defense level, or at the diplomatic level. We have to be very cautious in our approach. Afghanistan, unfortunately, is not acting, not cooperating what Pakistan is already suggesting. But there is a ray of hope when it comes to the diplomatic engagement, particularly when the Pakistan Special Envoy on Afghanistan, Ambassador Mohammad Sadiq, visited Kabul, and now there is going to be a bilateral visit again. So there is a ray of hope that Afghanistan might act against all those terrorist organizations who have took refuge at Afghan soil. But we have to engage Iran as well, because Sistan, Balochistan is the refuge for terrorists who are launching attack in Balochistan, unfortunately. We have to show our deterrence. We have to be very strict in our defense. We have to be very strict in our strategic and other capabilities. We have to show it, because it is important that to intact the state, to protect the state, it is important that the state actors must have to act. And now it's the time that all panelists are agreed upon it, and even whole of the nation is agreed upon it, that it's the time that not only the illegal Afghan must have to be expelled from Pakistan, but also the repatriation of Afghan refugees to their country, because Afghanistan is bit better now, and Pakistan can't bear this burden for long. And also the national interest suggests that it's paramount that we have to engage both United States and China in a sense to steer Pakistan's foreign policy ahead. National Counter-Terrorism Authority, that is the backbone when it comes to counter-terrorism. So it must have to be empowered, so as the intelligence agencies, and also one of the participants suggested that National Action Plan 2 must have to be there. When it comes to the cyber and the digital domain, we have to spread awareness among our youth. We have to engage youth. We have to make lots of room for their employment and jobs. And this internet, this digital space and cyberspace can give that most needed jobs and employment to them as well, because they are 60% of the population. They are a very important segment of our population. So we have to also create a de-radicalization campaign as well. And when it comes to cyber digital capabilities, to enhance them, we have to monitor the information flow, which is at the social media and all others. We have to create some win-win situation when it comes to machine learning based systems, and also artificial intelligence and cyber warriors. They are very important. The cyber policing is very important. We have to be very strict on that to curb the cyber crimes, the cyber terrorism and digital radicalization. This is all from today's Foresight. It's time to sign off. Allah Hafiz.